Hello, my darlings. How are we? Welcome back to Marion K Tarot. This is going to be your week ahead reading for the week commencing the 21st of July until the 27th of July. Now, what have we got going on this week? Astrologically wise, we have got a new moon in Leo. So everybody rejoice, everybody go and get their hair done, everybody just use their hair and be fabulous. Okay, because that's what we want to do in Leo new moon. Leo new moons are interesting in the fact that they're strange because Leo is ruled by the sun. Okay, so it's almost like, even though it's not an eclipse, right? It's definitely not an eclipse, but it kind of feels like an astrological eclipse, because it's like the moon's coming to its neighbour, the moon is once it gets into Leo, it's been in its favourite home sign of Cancer, and it's an interesting energy. So, but Leo new moons, it is a time to write out those manifestations, look at what we want to bring towards us in our life. Okay, so this week we are going to be using the beautiful Tarot of the Abyss by Anna Turnian. And it's US Games who are the producers of it, the publishers of it, and it's just gorgeous. It is such a thing of beauty. It is one of my all-time favourite decks. So let's have a look and see what energies we have got. What energies are coming through for the 21st to 27th of July 2025, please. Let us see. Okay, interesting cards. At the bottom of the deck, we have got the Seven of Pentacles. Okay, so you can see that. So that is Saturn and Taurus. So interestingly enough, that's a nice energy. It shows really that this week we are going to be asked to work for our bread, work for our money, because it's like in this depiction of the card, it's literally like this woman and it is baking bread with pentacles on top of it. Okay, so it's like the kind of literal like manifestation of money, like bread. And I love that depiction. It's very clever. It's a very clever deck. That's what I enjoy. So this week, there might be an idea or an experience that you need to kind of really put your all into, and it's almost like kind of it needs to be done. There's actually quite a bit of Taurus energy in here, because the main cards we have got, so we've got a Seven of Cups, which is Scorpio, okay, she says. And then we have got the Empress, which is Venus, moon rules Taurus. And then we've got the Nine of Swords, okay. Now, the Nine of Swords is Gemini energy. It's one of the cards that we don't like to see. It just isn't one of the cards we like to see. However, what's interesting is this week, particularly kicking off with a Seven of Swords, Seven of Cups, I beg your pardon. The depiction here is like of a person with their head literally in the clouds, okay? And it's making the choices, because the Seven of Cups appears to us when we have got a lot of choices to make. And with being cups, it can be emotional choices. Now remember, Neptune recently went retrograde, and the difference with a Neptune retrograde is things become more clear. Whereas other planetary retrogrades can cause us to be a bit confused, cause us to be a wee bit mixed up. Well, that's Neptune's modus operandi when it's direct. You know, it's there, it's a dreaming planet, it's there to make us kind of think, oh well, let's just go about with like we're head in the clouds like a fog. But when it's retrograde, it's when things can be seen more clearly. You know, that relationship that we've been thinking is fantastic. It can, you know, it's like let's clear the fog away, you know, let's take the rose tinted glasses off. Is that relationship, is that job, is that friendship, you know, is that opportunity really providing you with something that you can take from it, you know, providing you with increasing the joy in your life, you know, is it actually, or in actual fact, have you been kind of hoodwinked? Okay, so that's the energy that's coming through for that, even though it's not necessarily like Scorpio energy. It's just that's what it feels like, right? So if this week you are being asked, like somebody might say to you, oh come on, get your head out of the clouds, you know, and if that phrase comes up, you know, I want you to think of that, can you? But oh, actually, and then look at the kind of circumstances around that. Have you really got your head in the clouds, or are you seeing things clearly? You know, and is somebody trying to gaslight you even? You know, I'm not saying that for everybody, obviously, but you know, could that be a thing? The Empress here, you know, the Empress is asking us, you know, what do we want to nurture? You know, I think particularly with that full moon, that new moon, sorry, in Leo, what do we want to bring to life, really? You know, have you maybe been gestating on a project where it's time now for you to, like, birth it into the world? You know, or is this a time where a new idea or a new set of circumstances is going to present themselves to you? You know, it's a very potent week, you know, especially emotionally, and I think that's shown up in the cards. And I think like the only kind of a fly in the ointment, if you like, is this Nine of Swords. You know, and it is that kind of a nightmarish card. You know, we've got these kind of shadow hands, like kind of grabbing at the person in their sleep, you know, surrounded by these 9 swords. What I would suggest is, you know, are these new things, right? So let's work with this here, right? So we've got shadowy card, we've got shadowy arms and hands reaching out, right? And we've got the main person in the card here, kind of almost like batting them away. Okay, so shadows, think of yourself, you know, the shadow work. Are you maybe reading the Empyrean series? And that's a whole different conversation. But just saying, it could, because, you know, the tarot shows up in many different ways. You know, is it like, are you going to be kind of finishing the books, or are you wanting to reread the books because you're maybe off for a couple of weeks? You know, it's like, certainly in the Northern Hemisphere, it's kind of holiday time. And you want to maybe read a book? Are you looking for a book to read? You know, that kind of thing. Or is it the fact that there's a call for you to do shadow work under this new moon? Is it something that you want to start? Is it something you want to begin? And it's maybe bringing up these kind of untapped feelings that you've had, and you've not experienced them for a long time, because it's like, you know, there's this kind of a thought where people are like, oh well, you know, we should all do some shadow work, and they can be quite flippant about it, and it's not for everybody, you know. And see, if you're sitting here watching it, you're like, oh, I'm just not getting near shadow work, Marion. That's okay. You know, we don't. There's this kind of a almost like pressure. It's almost like this kind of peer pressure. Oh yes, well, I do my shadow work regularly. Well, that's good for you, okay? But some people we're just not ready, you know, at this point in time. And some people go through life and they're never ready to face their shadow, and that's okay as well. That's their journey, you know. Obviously, would I advise people to look into it? Absolutely, but only to the point where you feel comfortable. You know, and it's like, it might just be dip my toe in, and that's fine. But when we begin that process, a lot of the time our minds, the things come up when we're asleep because it's easier to, walk through these experiences, and the feelings that come up. I know certainly sometimes it's like if something came up when I've maybe been doing some shadow work and it's been really quite kind of intense, it's really kind of got to me. I hardly slept that night. I kind of realised that it was part of my coping mechanism where I didn't sleep that night, or I slept very little, because it was almost like my subconscious was afraid to go to sleep because I did not know what the dreams were going to be like, so it can be like that. And also because we have got quite a big lunation here, a new moon, it could be that sometimes this week we are going to have some weird dreams. It's nothing to do with shadow work. We are going to have some weird dreams because of the new moon. So whatever you're up to this week, just be aware, be gentle on yourself, be kind to yourself, set those intentions, and take some time to reflect on how far you've come and how amazing you are, because it is a new moon in Leo and we're all fabulous darlings. Okay, so you take good care, and I will see you soon. Okay, bye.